Imagine you're holding a jar filled with sand and you're squeezing it as tightly as you can. The harder you grip, the more the sand slips through your fingers. Life often feels like that jar. No matter how hard we try to control everything, some things simply escape our grasp. Now, let me ask you this. What if the problem isn't about holding on tighter, but about letting go? What if there's a greater hand ready to guide, protect, and restore? The truth is, there are battles we were never meant to fight alone, and outcomes we were never meant to control. Today, let's talk about what happens when you step back and choose to leave it in God's hands. Because sometimes surrendering isn't giving up, it's stepping into the greatest strength you'll ever know. Life is full of moments that challenge our understanding. We plan, prepare, and pursue our goals with the expectation that everything will fall into place exactly as we imagined. But then, something unexpected happens. An obstacle, a delay, or even a complete detour. In these moments, it's easy to feel frustrated, lost, or even defeated. Yet, this is where trusting the process becomes essential. Trusting the process means acknowledging that you don't always have to see the full picture to believe that progress is happening. Imagine planting a seed in the soil. You water it, ensure it gets sunlight, and wait. For days, maybe weeks, there's no visible sign of growth, but beneath the surface, the seed is breaking open, taking root, and preparing to sprout. If you judged the process too early, you might think the seed had failed, but in reality, it was just working in ways you couldn't see. Similarly, in life, there are times when you feel like your efforts are producing no results. You've prayed, worked hard, and done everything in your power, yet things seem stagnant. It's in these moments that trust becomes a choice. It's about believing that even though you don't see immediate outcomes, the work is happening behind the scenes. This trust doesn't come from blind faith. It comes from understanding that growth often takes time, and some of the most significant breakthroughs happen after periods of uncertainty. When you release the need to understand every step and instead focus on showing up each day with faith, you allow yourself to move forward with less anxiety and more peace. Trusting the process doesn't eliminate the challenges, but it does shift your perspective, reminding you that every step has a purpose, even when you can't see it. Let go of the need to control every outcome. Control gives us the illusion of security. We believe that if we can micromanage every detail of our lives, we can ensure success and avoid failure. But the truth is, life is unpredictable, and trying to control every outcome often leads to frustration, anxiety, and burnout. The tighter we hold on, the more we limit the possibility of something greater unfolding. Letting go of control isn't about giving up. It's about understanding that some outcomes are beyond our reach. Imagine standing in front of a river and trying to redirect its flow with your hands. No matter how hard you try, the water will continue on its course. Instead of resisting, you could step back, trust the river's path, and let it carry you. This is what happens when you release the need to control. It frees you to focus on what truly matters. Often, our desire for control stems from fear of the unknown, fear of failure, or fear of being vulnerable. But by letting go, you make room for faith to take over. You shift your focus from forcing outcomes to aligning with the right actions and intentions. You stop seeing obstacles as roadblocks and start viewing them as opportunities for growth. This act of release doesn't mean you stop planning or working hard. It means you do your part and then trust that what's meant for you will come. When you let go of control, you reduce stress, gain clarity, and open yourself to solutions and outcomes you might not have envisioned. It's not weakness, it's wisdom, a recognition that life is often more rewarding when you allow it to unfold naturally instead of trying to force your own agenda. Faith isn't passive, it's active surrender. Many people think of faith as a quiet, still thing, something you simply hold on to while waiting for life to sort itself out. But true faith isn't about sitting back and hoping for the best. It's about stepping forward, even when the path is unclear. It's about continuing to move, even when you don't know exactly where you're going. Faith is not the absence of action. It's a commitment to purposeful action while trusting in a greater plan. Active surrender means acknowledging that while you don't control the outcome, you still have a role to play. Think of it like a dance. You might not be leading, but you're still moving, trusting that your steps are guided by something greater. This doesn't mean you'll always feel confident. Faith often requires courage in the face of uncertainty. It challenges you to let go of your fears and doubts and replace them with trust and perseverance. It's easy to confuse surrender with giving up, but they are vastly different. Giving up is rooted in hopelessness, while surrender is rooted in trust. When you surrender, you're not throwing in the towel. You're releasing the weight of control so you can focus your energy on what truly matters. Your effort, your attitude, and your faith. Faith calls you to keep showing up, to keep believing, and to keep pushing forward even when the results aren't immediate. It's what empowers you to step out of your comfort zone and take risks, knowing that you're supported by something bigger than yourself. In this way, faith isn't passive at all. It's an active, living force that moves you toward your purpose, even in the midst of uncertainty. Release fear and embrace peace through trust. Fear is a powerful emotion, one that often dictates our choices and limits our potential. It whispers doubts, amplifies uncertainties, and keeps us tethered to a cycle of worry and hesitation. But fear is also a thief. It robs you of the peace you could experience if you chose to trust instead. Releasing fear isn't easy. It requires an intentional decision to shift your focus from what could go wrong to the faith that things will work out as they should. Trust is the antidote to fear. When you trust, you acknowledge that you don't have to have all the answers. You realize that not every outcome depends solely on your efforts. Trust gives you the freedom to breathe, to let go of the worst-case scenarios that occupy your mind, and to embrace the possibility of something better. Fear often thrives in the unknown. It feeds on the gaps in your understanding and magnifies your doubts. But trust transforms the unknown into an opportunity. It reminds you that while you can't see the full picture, there's a plan unfolding. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges, but it does mean you don't have to face them with a heart full of fear. When you choose trust over fear, you create space for peace to enter. This peace doesn't come from having everything figured out. It comes from knowing that you're not alone in the process. It's a quiet confidence that allows you to navigate life's uncertainties with grace. By releasing fear, you free yourself from its grip, and by embracing trust, you step into a mindset of strength and resilience, ready to face whatever comes your way. God's timing is perfect, even when it feels delayed. In a world that moves at lightning speed, we often expect instant results. We plant seeds and want to see the harvest immediately. But life doesn't work on our schedules, and neither does God. It's easy to feel frustrated when things don't happen as quickly as we'd like, especially when we've put in the effort and prayed for answers. However, what feels like a delay to us is often the perfect timing in a plan far greater than we can comprehend. God's timing operates on a different scale, one that considers not just our desires, but also our growth, preparation, and ultimate purpose. Imagine wanting a door to open before you're ready to walk through it. Rushing into a blessing prematurely can be just as challenging as missing it altogether. The delay isn't denial, it's preparation. It's in those waiting seasons that you're strengthened, refined, and made ready for what's ahead. Waiting on God's timing requires patience and trust. It's not about passively sitting by, but about staying active in faith. Keep working, keep praying, and keep growing, knowing that the right moment will come when it's meant to. The beauty of God's timing is that it's not random. It aligns people, opportunities, and circumstances in ways that are beyond human understanding. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs happen when we stop striving and start trusting. When we let go of our own timelines and surrender to God's, we find peace in the waiting. And when the answer finally comes, it often exceeds anything we could have planned for ourselves. It's a reminder that while we may not always understand the timing, we can trust the one who holds it. Focus on what you can control, your attitude and actions. Life is filled with uncertainties, and it's natural to want control over everything. But the truth is, many things, other people's opinions, unexpected events, or even the outcomes of your efforts are simply beyond your reach. The key to peace and progress lies in shifting your focus to the areas where you do have control. Your attitude and your attitude is your choice. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it. When challenges arise, you can choose frustration and defeat, or you can choose resilience and hope. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing that your mindset influences how you experience and overcome difficulties. A positive attitude doesn't guarantee success, but it positions you to approach life's obstacles with strength and clarity. Similarly, your actions are within your power. You can't control the results, but you can control the effort you put in. Each day presents an opportunity to take meaningful steps toward your goals, no matter how small. Focusing on consistent action helps you stay grounded and prevents you from being overwhelmed by things you can't predict or change. When you center your energy on what you can control, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to manage everything. This doesn't mean you ignore what's outside your control. It means you refuse to let it consume you. By cultivating the right attitude and taking deliberate actions, you create a foundation of peace and purpose in the face of uncertainty. You remind yourself that while you can't control the waves, you can adjust your sails and keep moving forward. Surrender opens the door to divine intervention. In a world that values self-sufficiency and independence, surrender can feel like a sign of weakness. But true surrender is not about giving up. It's about giving over to a greater power. It's the moment when you stop fighting against what you cannot control and allow divine intervention to take place. In surrender, you release the burden of needing to fix everything yourself and make room for God's guidance and wisdom to lead you. When you surrender, you acknowledge that there's something bigger than you at work. You recognize that while you might not have all the answers, you trust that there's a purpose in every challenge, a lesson in every hardship, and a blessing waiting to unfold. This act of releasing control doesn't diminish your effort or commitment. Rather, it shifts your focus from trying to control every detail to trusting that God is working behind the scenes. Surrender creates space for miracles. When you stop forcing solutions, you open your heart to the possibilities that only divine intervention can bring. Sometimes the answer isn't found in your own strength, but in God's perfect timing and provision. The moments when you let go of your need for control are often the moments when the most extraordinary transformations occur. By surrendering, you align yourself with a higher purpose. You allow God to guide your steps, knowing that the path may not always be clear, but the destination is always for your good. When you stop striving and start surrendering, you invite divine intervention to show you a way forward that you may not have been able to see on your own. Don't mistake waiting for inactivity. Stay prepared. Waiting can often feel like you're doing nothing. In a society that values constant productivity, the act of waiting can feel like a waste of time. But waiting doesn't mean inactivity. In fact, the waiting period is a powerful time for preparation. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean nothing is happening. In those moments of stillness, you have the opportunity to grow, refine your skills, and align yourself with what's to come. Think of an athlete who spends months training for a competition. There are times when they're not actively competing, but during those off seasons, they are honing their craft, building their strength, and perfecting their technique. Every moment of waiting is an opportunity to prepare for the moment when the door will open. Similarly, in your own life, the waiting period can be a time of inner growth. It's when you focus on what you can control, shaping your character, refining your mindset, and strengthening your faith. You may not yet see the opportunity you're waiting for, but that doesn't mean you're not being prepared for it. Waiting doesn't have to be passive. Use this time to equip yourself, learn new things, and stay ready for the moment when things shift. When the time comes, you'll be prepared to step into the opportunity with confidence and clarity. The key is to stay focused, active, and ready for whatever comes next, knowing that your preparation in the waiting time will determine how well you respond when the opportunity arrives. Resilience grows when you rely on God's strength. Life is full of challenges that test our limits, pushing us to the edge of our endurance. In these moments, it's easy to feel like giving up is the only option. But resilience isn't about relying solely on your own strength. It's about drawing from a power greater than yourself. When you place your trust in God, you tap into a source of strength that is limitless and unshakable. God's strength doesn't promise that you won't face difficulties, but it does promise that you won't face them alone. The more you lean on Him, the more resilient you become. Each time you surrender your burdens and trust in His guidance, you grow stronger in faith and in character. Resilience is built not by avoiding adversity, but by facing it head on with the confidence that you are supported by God's unwavering presence. When you rely on your own strength, you are limited by your own human capacity. But when you turn to God, you open yourself up to divine power that can carry you through the toughest storms. The challenges you face may still be difficult, but they no longer have the same power over you. With God's strength, you can stand tall, face trials with courage, and come out on the other side stronger than before. Resilience isn't just about surviving, it's about growing, learning, and emerging with a deeper understanding of your purpose and strength. When you rely on God's strength, you unlock the ability to overcome even the most challenging obstacles, knowing that nothing is impossible with His help. Leaving it in God's hands creates space for miracles. When you try to control every outcome, you limit the possibility of something greater happening. By holding onto the reins so tightly, you prevent the unexpected blessings and miracles that could unfold. The beauty of leaving it in God's hands is that it opens the door for things to happen in ways you never imagined. God's plans are often far beyond our understanding, and his timing is perfect. When you let go of the need to micromanage every detail, you create room for miracles that are aligned with his will for your life. These miracles might not look exactly how you expect, but they often come at just the right moment in ways that far exceed what you could have planned for yourself. By surrendering, you acknowledge that you are not in control, and in doing so, you open your heart to divine possibilities. You stop limiting yourself with your own expectations and allow God to work in ways that go beyond your comprehension. This act of faith invites the miraculous into your life as you trust that God will bring about what's best for you, even if it doesn't fit into your timeline or vision. When you leave things in God's hands, you stop carrying the weight of trying to force things to happen. You trust that the best possible outcome is unfolding, even if you can't yet see it. This trust creates space for peace, growth, and ultimately the kind of miracles that can only come through divine intervention. In a world that constantly urges us to take control, it's easy to forget that true peace comes from surrender. By trusting the process, letting go of the need to control every outcome, and embracing faith as an active force, we invite God's guidance into our lives. Through surrender, we find the strength to release fear, the patience to wait for his perfect timing, and the resilience to face life's challenges. When we focus on what we can control, our attitude and actions, and remain prepared in the waiting periods, we open ourselves up to divine intervention and miracles. Remember, leaving it in God's hands isn't about giving up. It's about acknowledging that there is a greater plan at work, one that is unfolding in ways we may not yet understand. Trusting God doesn't mean everything will be easy, but it does mean that we are never alone in our struggles. By surrendering, we create space for growth, peace, and the possibility of blessings far beyond what we could have imagined. In the end, it is in letting go that we find the freedom to move forward, trusting that God's hands are guiding us towards something greater than we could ever control.